I am Kit, and this is me 8 months on low dose testosterone and finasteride. I'm going to sort of do a 7 and 8 month update because I didn't get to the 7-month update. I had a depressive episode that week, and I couldn't bring myself to make either my weekly or monthly update. So I will sort of cover the last 2 months here. About 2 months ago, I started noticing the veins on the back of my hands were standing out more. Someone more recently also commented that I now have man hands because they can see the veins on my hands. That comment sat awkwardly with me because I don't want man hands. I don't necessarily want woman hands. I don't know. The veins are showing. I also was able to do a weight test, an accurate weight test lift with at work. And I know I can at least pick up and hold for a good 10, 12 seconds a 90-pound bag of concrete now. And I can pick up a 100-pound plank of board of plywood that I was like, it's got to be like 80, and it was 100. And that was sort of surprising to me. That is significant increase from pre-T when I couldn't lift more than 60 pounds without throwing out my back. So that's, the biggest change that's made an impact on my life, and, the one that makes me think that I don't want to go off T. At the beginning of this month, I did check my body measurements. I haven't been doing that every week. I've been doing that about once a month. And I did notice my waist and my hips went down slightly, but my chest, my rib cage went up. And I'm suspecting that has to do with increased muscle in my upper body. I also, someone commented that they noticed that my neck has gotten wider since starting T. So that, I don't know, is that a muscle thing? Is that just men have wider necks? I don't know. My acne has been pretty absent for the last 2 months. It has made a comeback in the last week. But at this point, it's not horrible. You can probably see some spots. It's come back in force compared to the last, 8 weeks. But it's par for the course at this point. My facial shape hasn't changed too much. I take pictures, about the middle of each month, and it looks like my face is getting wider again. It seemed to be narrowing for a bit. Now looks like it's getting wider again. But my jawline hasn't particularly changed much in the last 2 months. My voice, usually I start with my voice, but I guess we'll get to it here. My voice has been generally around the bottom of the androgynous range. I started recording my voice in the evenings about 3 weeks ago to see what it sounds like more after I've used it during the day. My voice always seems to be deeper in the morning and then settles higher up later in the day. So I decided that the more accurate way to track it was to check my evening voice rather than my morning voice. So that's where you'll see the difference. The big jumps were evening voices or morning voices before I made my videos. And it was just sort of jumping all over the place. And then these last 3 weeks have been my morning voice, where it's sitting after, I've been talking to people all day. And that would be why it's still being read as feminine on the phone, because it's not particularly deep. it's still sitting around 170 by the time it's warmed up, I guess. I guess that's why my voice gets higher. My finasteride has continued to prevent all the changes that it's was listed on the box. I haven't gotten any facial hair. I haven't gotten any body hair besides around my injection locations. I've switched up exactly where I'm putting in my injections on my stomach, because I don't want to build up scar tissue in two places. So there's a big swath of area. Now I'm getting hair sort of growing all around my belly button instead of just right below it where I was doing injections for several months. I haven't noticed any balding, and I haven't noticed any bottom growth. My skin, I think I covered what's there, just the veins and the neck thickness. I haven't noticed it being any more oily or my skin being any thicker than usual. I'm still giving myself, cuts at work, slice your hand on a piece of drywall or, splinter through from the plywood or whatever, it doesn't seem to be changing that. My body scent hasn't changed at all since I've noticed it change, over the summer. I haven't been sweating a lot because it's been, cooler. So I'm not sniffing my armpits all the time, and it's not wafting out of my clothes or anything. So but it does still smell more masculine than it did pre-T. My sex drive also hasn't changed. It hasn't gone up, hasn't gone down. I don't know if it can go much further down. I do think that might have to do, I've heard that finasteride can inhibit sex drive. I've also, on 3 mental health medications that each have possible side effect of lowered libido. So just because I haven't gotten a higher libido doesn't mean it's not a side effect. It might just be being suppressed because of all the medications I'm on. My body measurements, I did cover my mood. As I mentioned at my 7-month update, week 31, I did have a depressive episode. It did last 4 days, and it wasn't severe. It was over a 3-day weekend, so I didn't interfere with work too much. But the interesting thing about that is it had been 16 weeks since my manic episode, which means that I skipped a cycle. And it came almost exactly 16 weeks after my manic cycles. So the tea does seem to be doing something to my bipolar cycling. It's nothing that makes me concerned that I want to go off tea, because it's not interfering with my ability to, hold a job and clean up my house and buy food. It's not interfering with my daily activities. And you skip a cycle. You can't be upset about not getting depressed or not getting manic on schedule. How can you get upset about that? But it does seem like there's some sort of changes happening with the new hormones and with my bipolar. My social dysphoria has been coming and going. Some weeks are worse than others. I can't particularly point to any one week that was horrible or one week that was nothing at all. It's something I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with as it comes up. I have a new goal in therapy is within 6 months. I want to try to correct people, that I don't interact with regularly. I go to the store to buy some supplies for work, and someone misgenders me, and my goal is to be able to say, that's not actually my pronouns. My pronouns are they, them. Can you read my fucking pen? No, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to say, can you read my fucking pen? But where the fucking pen? Please read the fucking pen. But to be able to just say, you know, oh, that's not my pronouns. Or if I'm on the phone and someone calls me ma'am, and to be able to say, please don't call me ma'am. You know, just to be able to correct people or stop the situation from continuing. Just to be able to advocate for myself in situations where I usually would just let it slide. It's just, you know, I don't know if you know. We had to set some sort of obtainable goal for, you know, the insurance people want written down, like, why are you in therapy and why is this good for you? And what are you getting out of it? And what goals? And, you know, they wanted some sort of attainable goal. So we're like, all right, correcting people when they misgender me. So my body dysphoria has also been coming and going. Some weeks are worse than others. I'm still wearing my binder out a lot. I'm not as uncomfortable with my weight as I was, you know, several months ago. I don't particularly remember what was in my, you know, 6-month update versus my 7 and 8th month update. It's been a journey, and you can't just always remember exactly which weeks were which sorts of events going on, or where the dysphoria was or wasn't. But it's nothing too severe. It's nothing crippling. It's not crippling me. So those pretty much cover my tea-related events. I have had some pretty significant life events, work events, in the last 2 months. I will quickly recap that now. It does look like I had work drama. I got in touch with HR about my lack of hours over winter and asked for them to see if I was being laid off more often than my other coworkers. And they came back saying, well, you're an apprentice and everyone else except this one person was a carpenter, so we can't compare you to them because they have different rules. They're, you know, you're not allowed to work without a journeyman on the site, and they're all journeymen, so they can work without some supervision, and you can't. So you had more time than the other apprentice, so there was no discrimination there. And I was like, in my discrimination class, I had already said this other apprentice had even fewer hours than me, and I think the apprentices were getting fewer hours than the journeyman. And HR said, we can't compare that, so you're fine, there's no discrimination. Oh, by the way, your coworkers, I talked to them about you, and they said a bunch of bullshit about you. And I was like, oh, they said bullshit about me? Gender discrimination claim. So, yeah, I wrote down, you know, a dozen instances of being discriminated against because of my gender by both my supervisor and my coworkers. And HR came back and they go, yeah, we'll do sensitivity training. I'm like, you're not going to write anyone up? You're not going to tell them their behavior's been bad? They're like, oh, no, we don't want it to be about you. We won't even tell them it's about you. We'll just say it's a routine training that we have to do and we haven't done it for a while. I'm sitting here going, oh my fucking God. These people have been mistreating me. They've been gender harassing me for over a year. And all you're going to do is come in and tell people, oh, you're not allowed to discriminate against people. So I got switched to a new crew at work. My new supervisor is non-binary, but in the closet, because they are having enough trouble getting respect just being seen as a woman They could not fight for being a supervisor and a non-binary person. But they are extremely supportive of me. They got me a pronoun pin in Spanish just to be like, if you can't read English, I mean, I know you're living here, but if you can't read English, here's your Spanish pronoun too. Can you fucking pay attention to my fucking pins on my fucking shirt? No. People don't read pins, even when you're standing right in front of them. But my new supervisor was really supportive of me. We even have this deal going on that if someone misgenders me and doesn't correct themselves, I actually get to make a note at the end of the week and say, all right, this person has misgendered me this many times, and I get 50 cents each time someone misgenders me. I didn't actually expect to get paid, but I am actually getting paid for it. The idea is that eventually it'll become so much money that my supervisor will just have to be like, figure something out to get this shit to stop. I don't know. I'm just sort of, it's just, I've got like $10 already in 3 weeks. So that just says how often I get misgendered at work. By coworkers, by my new coworkers. I have a new coworker who, one of them's good, correcting himself, and one of them is not. I heard him say one day, he goes, I don't know if I'm ever going to figure out this pronoun thing. I was just sitting here going, okay, I won't tell the supervisor you said that. Yeah. So anyway, work drama. Other drama that came up about 3 weeks ago was a cop pulled me over at a stoplight because he thought I was on my phone. And I'm waiting for him to turn my ticket in so I can schedule a trial date, because I'm gonna fight it. I'm not gonna just pay it because I wasn't on my phone. And I've got all this documentation together. I've got this whole, explanation figured out for the judge. There's a small chance my ticket isn't turned in and they just drop it. I would not be disappointed with that. But, I'm expecting to have to fight my case in front of a judge. So that's not going to happen. I mean, the officer has about 2 more weeks to turn my ticket in before it's dropped. And then I have within 2 weeks after that to schedule my trial. But I'm calling in every week to see if it's in yet, because I don't want to wait that long. I just want this shit over with. Other than that, I did have my 6-month checkup at the doctor. Why do I feel like I have a hair on my nose? Is there something on my glasses? There is something on my glasses. Other than that, I had my blood test, my 6-month checkup with my blood test, and it came back. All the numbers have been going down in the right direction, except the one that should be going up, it went up. So I'm pretty happy with that. They're still not out of the red, but they are going in the right direction. I don't know if it's going to be possible to get them out of the red, because it might just be an age-related thing. I do have diabetes, high cholesterol, and high triglycerides run in the family, so there may be a genetic component to it. Another thing that's been happening in the family is my sister is expecting a baby. So I've been asked to be a guardian type person for this child, sort of a, confidant, a sort of a third-ish parent, like if the kind of person that if she has trouble, if she doesn't want to talk to her parents, or she's, been out late and doesn't want to go home and get in trouble or something, she can come bunk at my place and I'd be like, yep, she's over here. She's fine. She's just, made some questionable decisions and didn't want to come home tonight, but everything's cool. I'm taking care of her. Something like that, I'm really excited because my other nieces live in another state, and I see them maybe, I visit once a year and see them on video maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So they're pretty absent from my life. So the idea of being able to like have this niece in my life, like be have a close connection, is really exciting. So I've decided that, you know, baby blankets. Babies like new blankets. Everyone loves giving baby blankets. And I've been wanting to learn to knit for like 6 years. So I'm learning to knit. Baby's gonna have the have Kit's first knitting blanket. Look at all the things. Oh, yep, that was one of the first ones they made. That one's definitely has more work, and that one's nicer. That must be one of the later ones. Anyway, baby's first knitted blanket. Beyond that, I did get a new phone this week. My other phone, the touch screen, was acting up, and it was 6 years old, and I was like, all right, well, time to get a new phone. Fortunately, it's a Samsung, and Samsungs have this transfer feature, so I literally just got to copy and paste my old phone onto my new phone, which was really excellent. It only took an hour, but it saved, you know how much headache it is when you have to start a new phone from scratch. I got to save all of that, minus 2 work apps and some issues with Google Maps. Anyway, I also got a few new clothes this week. I'm trying to start building up my winter wardrobe because all the clothes I got before were pretty much summer clothes, maybe a couple of autumn outfits. But this is one of my new shirts, and I'm really happy with that. I think that about covers 2 months worth of updates. I will see you in my weekly videos and talk to you again in another month.